Well, I must admit, the first time I came here, I burst into tears because it's such a beautiful, wonderful theatre. So to be able to play in it is just fantastic.
It was a dream of mine. I'd visited the Winter Gardens a few times, and I thought, gosh, I'd love to bring music back here, some live music, opera in particular. And, sometimes dreams do come true.
And acoustically, the great thing is that the Winter Gardens is designed for acoustic music. The building is designed for non-amplified musical instruments to sound beautiful in there.
I found in Morecambe there is something about the acoustics there that just makes the cello sing, and it really carried really well.
The list of musicians and entertainers who've graced the Winter Gardens over the years reads like the who's who of popular entertainment from the 19th and 20th centuries. From Elgar and Vera Lynn to The Who and the Rolling Stones, Morecambe and Wise, Ada Webb, the Empress of the Sea, Morecambe amateurs, wrestling, magic, acrobatics, in fact, you name it, we've had it all. The Winter Gardens' reputation as a place that attracts the best is one reason why so many are so determined to keep the theatre alive, so that even more generations can enjoy it. In this episode, we'll be focusing on some of the contemporary artists and performers who've trodden our hallowed boards in more recent times, and hearing what the theatre means to them. Starting with Philip Blake-Jones, CEO, founder and artistic director of the London Festival Opera.
I was brought up in Morecambe. I was actually born in Yorkshire, but when I was about 8 or 9, we moved to Morecambe. And Morecambe at that time was a really thriving seaside resort. And the Winter Gardens was a really key venue. Celebrities like Max Bygraves and Morecambe Wise appeared there. So it was a really big deal in the town. And I was involved in competitive Morecambe Musical Festival. So, aged 8, 9, singing in this massive venue was an incredible experience. But the really big experience for me, the Morecambe amateurs put on The Sound of Music, and I was Kurt. And that was an incredible experience. That's when really I stood on that stage and thought, I'd really like to do this.
Philip and his organisation recently brought Opera Magic here to the Winter Gardens with the sole purpose of introducing thousands of local children to the magical world of opera. It's been his ambition to share his love of music in Morecambe for many years.
It was a dream of mine. I'd visited the Winter Gardens a few times, and I thought, gosh, I'd love to bring music back here, some live music, opera in particular. And it was a dream to do that. And, sometimes dreams do come true. And at the very end of the presentation, this Opera Magic for children, over 2 days, we had 1,700 children, which is an incredible number. And that lofty building came to life, with all that young cheering. And we taught them to shout bravo. And they just went crazy for opera. So I stood on that stage, probably 10 or 11, and was in The Sound of Music. And that did give me that sense of the dream to have a professional career. And I was very lucky. I had excellent teachers.
Non più andrai farfallone amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girando, delle belle turbando il riposo, Narcisetto ad un tiro d'amor. Delle belle turbando il riposo, Narcisetto ad un tiro d'amor.
I wanted to try and bring that back locally, and also bring live music, live classical music back into the Winter Gardens, and bring Gilbert and Sullivan. The D'Oyly Carte is the opera company that the Gilbert and Sullivan operettas were written for. And I sang with the D'Oyly Carte Opera Company. I was the principal with the D'Oyly Carte Opera Company and recorded with them. And the D'Oyly Carte in the 1960s, up till the 1960s, appeared at the Winter Gardens. They toured. So there was all these different strands coming together that I know Opera Magic is really important to me. Classical music, opera did such a lot for me. It took me into a different world what was incredible was that we offered one day via the Lancashire Music Hub were very, very important, outreaching to the schools. Within an hour, 1,000 children had signed up. They were amazed. We were amazed. So then we did another day, and then we got the other 700. A lot of little ears to hear not only Gilbert and Sullivan, but they heard some Verdi, they heard some Bizet, they heard some Puccini, Rossini, and I say the words and they say them back.
When a parent's not engaged in his employment, absorbing his felonious little plans. Capacity for innocent enjoyment is just as great as any honest man's.
They're hearing French, Italian, and delivered in short bites of arias or solos in opera, and interaction. We get them up on stage and they interact with us. There's no prejudice as to what opera might be. There's no sense that it's snobbish or elitist. It's powerful entertainment, and they accept it completely, wholeheartedly, open-heartedly, and that's really exciting.
The gardens and opera really do go together. It might be the grandeur of the building, those newly restored ornate tiles, the height of the fly tower, or the seafront position that oozes atmosphere. And talking of matters maritime, we're keen to keep our seaside traditions alive. Joe Powell, who plays accordion with the Sunderland Point Sea Shanty Crew, who've performed at the gardens a number of times, including in April 2024.
There is going to be a Morecambe Sea Shanty Maritime Festival, so it'd be wonderful if it uses the Winter Gardens.
Just tell us about the band then, because some of the points, such a small place to have so many talented people able to perform. And how do you rehearse? I mean, and how often do you rehearse to keep it going?
We rehearse every month in the local pub in the Globe. We have to cross over the causeway to get to the pub, and sometimes the tide comes on early and we all have to rush out as fast as we can and get back across before the tide comes in. But as well as rehearsing once a month, whenever we meet up, we end up bursting into song. We can't help ourselves, so we're always singing. There's so many voices, there's 12 of us usually, and we all sing at the top of our voices, but the voices all blend together and make one beautiful, enthusiastic sound. So it's a wonderful feeling.
How long have you been involved yourself?
About 7 years. It started just probably 8 years ago, and then I joined near the beginning.
What was the appeal? Have you done it before elsewhere, where you lived before?
No, never done it before. I think just because we're a village by the sea, it just seems appropriate. We all love where we live. We all love the sea. Half of us are fishermen, or we all love boats, so it just seems appropriate.
I love the pirate song, the bits that go missing, the hand and the other bits and things like that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a very funny song, and sometimes we have props on stage for that one. We've got a spare, because there are 3 people that couldn't come today, and one of them is a magician, and he just happens to have spare arms and legs and various body parts that we can use. I found it really difficult. When I first tried to learn to play the accordion, to sing at the same time was impossible. Well, first of all, I couldn't play one side and the other side at the same time, and then to bring the voice in as well. So, but I play the accordion all the time at home. I just love playing accordion.
And Sunderland Point itself as well, what a great place to live. I imagine it's, having gone through the winter, I imagine this is the best time of year, into spring and summer.
Yeah, it's a tiny village. There's only around 30 houses and 60 people, so we're a very small community, and it's very windswept, and we had very high tides. The spring tide has just happened and flooded, came over the banks. So so we all live with that uncertainty and the certainty of the tides. I think all of us that live there love it when the tide comes in and we're cut off and it's just us and the sea.
Another recent and popular addition to the Winter Gardens repertoire of events is live musical accompaniment to silent film screenings. Here's Johnny Best, Artistic Director of Northern Silence.
I got involved with the Winter Gardens because I'd worked with Vanessa many years ago when I was running a festival in Manchester. And I became aware of the Winter Gardens when Vanessa took over the chair role at the Preservation Board. So I followed the restoration on social media and thought it looked like an interesting place to potentially put some shows on. So we worked together for the first time at Winter Gardens in the autumn of 2021 on Nosferatu, which was on at the Winter Gardens with the Off the Rails Jazz Band, a Morecambe-based community jazz ensemble. I worked with them over 3 or 4 weeks, helping them to create an improvised score for the film. And that was our first show, and we've done quite a few since then. So I'm not sure how many we're up to now, but of course we've gone from doing occasional events to establishing Silence by the Sea, our annual June festival, and the program's growing and developing, and audiences seem to be enjoying it, which is wonderful. The Winter Gardens offers both tremendous opportunities for doing live music with film and also challenges, and they're to do with the scale of the building. So and acoustically, the great thing is that the Winter Gardens is designed for acoustic music. The building is designed for non-amplified musical instruments to sound beautiful in there, and so we really take advantage of that by bringing in a lovely Steinway grand piano and working with a range of different musicians. So that's a great feature that the building has. We had a 16-piece orchestra in there in June playing Charlie Chaplin's score to his film The Kid, and it sounded absolutely beautiful because that's what the building was designed for. Now, when it comes to the visual side of things, the important thing is to match the scale of the building, and so we want the films to be powerfully immersive. We want the audience to have a really spectacular experience. So we had to build a screen because the proscenium arch of the theatre has a particular shape to it, particular scale to it, and really, if you're going to make film work in there, you need to fill that space. So we did that by investing in a screen made especially for Winter Gardens to the specs of the proscenium arch, and those two things together, a big visual scale that really works for the scale of the building, and then taking advantage of its beautiful acoustic music, put all that together, and that's it. That's those are the essential components of the event. Yeah, and I think that's what audiences have responded to. It's a real it is an immersive experience, both sonically and visually.
And that immersive experience, feeling like you're part of an event, isn't just restricted to the audience. As Liz Hanks, cellist with Frame Ensemble and Northern Silent, explains, there's something special about playing in the Winter Gardens.
It's really interesting playing there as a cellist because cello is often an instrument that gets lost, especially when we're doing silent films, because we have to face the film while we're playing. So you're most of the time facing away from the audience. And sometimes that can be a little bit problematic and we have to have amplification and stuff like that. But I found in Morecambe there is something about the acoustics there that just makes the cello sing, and it really carried really well. it almost feels like you're being amplified, even if you're not. So there was obviously something going on in this when they first made it, the end of the 1800s. They must have really had good ideas about acoustics. I don't know whether they they thought all this through, but it obviously works. So yeah, it was a special place in that way, and the acoustic sound was great for us. You know, it really feels like you are being amplified and you're getting your message across to the audience. It's quite different from my experience in sort of different sort of concert halls and things. It doesn't feel the same to me. It feels much more on your side, as in you really, and it's different to a church because it's not that reverberant. It just kind of feels like, as I said, it feels like a little it's a big amplification box. It kind of just sends your sound out. I can't think of another place that I know of that I can think offhand that's similar. In a way, in a church or a cathedral, you often find, even though you have this amazing reverberant sound, it almost gets lost because it's too cavernous. And even though, you know, the Winter Gardens it's enormous, it's amazing, but there must be something about the configuration of all, you know, where all the seating is and how the roof works that makes it neither get lost nor be too crazily reverberant. It doesn't have, you know, sort of slap back that you often get in a really massive space. When I went for the first time, you know, I was pretty amazed, to be honest. It was just such an incredible building, and it's been so beautifully kind of refurbished and done up. And I know things are still ongoing, but it's really it's been so beautifully done. And of course, it's in the most incredible setting. You know, you've got the sea right opposite, and it couldn't be better in that way. It's just it is a very special place that you feel like you've gone to this kind of, you know, it's almost like being in another country or something. You just feel like you've definitely travelled when you get there, if that makes sense. For the Silence by the Sea, Johnny wanted to have an orchestra play. So I fixed a load of players from Manchester and had the most incredible orchestra. And there was something very emotional about hearing the orchestra play in there for the first time, because it had literally been, I don't know how many years exactly, but maybe like 80 years or something since there'd been an orchestra. I'll have to check those details, but it had been a long time since there'd been an orchestra in that room. And there's something so magical about hearing an orchestra like that, but to have it in a space where you know that there's kind of these ghosts of the past that used to play there and bringing them back. And actually, I remember someone came along that weekend and they said that they knew someone. I think they remembered coming. I think they knew someone that played in the orchestra in the Morecambe Winter Gardens, which is amazing thought. And especially as the orchestra as an art form is something, you know, we're really trying to keep going, and it's something that could easily, with this day's kind of like, you know, this day and age, everything's so quick, and you've got all these online music places to get your music, and it's all very fast, and just having that real thing is so important, and to keep that tradition going. So that was really wonderful to get that in there.
This year, with Northern Silence forming its own orchestra, which, I mean, we formed Northern Silence Sinfonia, which made its debut at Winter Gardens with the Charlie Chaplin opening night of Silence by the Sea in June. That was a big step for us, and we knew that we wanted to get there, that we wanted to reintroduce orchestral music to Winter Gardens. So continuing to develop that is important, but we are continuing to develop larger scale projects with particular kinds of musical forces. So, you know, developing more brass band and silent film work, working with slightly larger orchestra. So it's really about developing the range of music that we work with. We've got the scale side of things sorted now. You know, the screen can be no bigger. There's no more space to occupy. I think what we are looking forward to is seeing the building develop in terms of its lighting and sound, technical facilities, particularly I think because as the building is better lit, the architectural features will be even more enjoyable for the audience. It is the whole. You can't separate the experience of being in the building from the experience of whatever art or entertainment you've come to enjoy. It all has to work together. And I think that's what's going to happen over the next few years, is we'll have a sense of all of that coming together.
And with all these incredible performers bringing live music back to the Winter Gardens, let's not forget some of the people who keep the wheels turning backstage. Our Young Creatives programme began in 2024. It's run in partnership with Lancaster and Morecambe College. Thanks to the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, we're able to host young people who might be inspired to consider a life in the creative industries after sampling work experience at the Winter Gardens.
My name is Brandon. It's just perfect. I like this place.
Have you been here before?
Yes, I have.
What, to see performances or to perform?
I think the most recent time before we did the work experience, we went on a trip with college and filmed a project here. It was like some kind of weird horror movie of some kind. Then years before that, when I was still a kid, there was some kind of Halloween event here. Yeah, it made an impression and I'm loving it.
Terry Allam, I'm the events coordinator at Morecambe Winter Gardens.
Brilliant.
Hello, my name's Maxim Lake. I am a student at LMC who's here for work experience.
Hi, I'm Rash Young. I'm also here for work experience at LMC.
Excellent.
I'm Finley Barnfather. I'm also here for work experience from LMC.
Okay, so the work experience that's happening these 2 weeks is part of a programme called the Young Creatives Programme, which is something that's been developed by Morecambe Winter Gardens alongside Lancaster and Morecambe College to create a kind of learning pathway for young people to gain experience in working within theatre. And it's not just about within theatre performance as well. Some of the stuff that we're doing this week is about running a venue and sound and light and things like that. We just found that, particularly in this area, there aren't many ways to get into the theatre industry or the live music industry. There are a few opportunities, but they're a bit few and far between. So we really wanted to give young people the opportunity to come in the building, see how a theatre works, all aspects of it.
And how many have come through this system so far?
So this is the first 10, actually. So it's only just started, and we're running this over 2 years. This place, within the whole project, we want to get 75 young people doing 50-hour placements over the next 2 years. Not just here, but through our partners as well.
So when we first heard about work experience, we didn't exactly know what we were going to do. There was a few different branches, some even going to a council. The course we are on is Creative Digital Media. It's a level 3 course, which spans over 2 years, covers a broad range of everything that we've done and everything that you will do in either media, game design, art, sound, literally everything.
The opportunities with social media and physical activities here as well, I mean, massive. Is this going to be your future? Is this what you want to do perhaps in the future?
Definitely, it's something I'm interested in the future.
And Finley, what kind of things have you done then this week or this past 2 weeks of work experience?
In the beginning, we started off by helping organise an opera with primary school children were coming in. We did a few days of that for, I think it was Opera Magic they were called. And they came in, we'd worked on different areas. We all did different things to do with managing the event during the performance. And we also helped on behind the scenes, sorting out actual events, and we're on to marketing now and getting the social media page up.
So go on to take us through, how do you plan to host it, or how do you get involved in making sure an opera runs smoothly, everything goes well?
Well, there's lots of different areas on it. There's making sure everything that the performers need on stage is there, or props and stuff like that. Making sure everyone's sat comfortably, making sure that there's no issues with seating, nobody's stood up, and just make sure everyone's comfortable and happy really with the event.
So you're on stage, I mean, that's quite a thing to do.
Yeah, so one of the things I had to do during the performances was run the fire brief, get the safety understandings done, where the toilets are, how we, plan to get everyone to leave when they actually need to leave.
We got to learn about the, what was the thing called? You know what word I'm thinking of?
There's a really funky word
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
There's gobo.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a gobo, and it's like a little metal sheet that overlays on the lights. It makes like patterns, and it's really cool. You can use it for like different live effects. So we learned about that today, actually.
Yeah, it kind of like opens your eyes to how much effort actually goes into all these performances, not just from like the cast that you see, but also from people behind the scenes, all the workers. Just it shows how much of a job it actually is to get everything done, more than just the performers that you see. Everything behind the scenes is just as brilliant. I've heard quite a bit about it, but I've never properly known what it is, known like anything about it, just seen it every now and again and just hear things. Oh, Morecambe Winter Gardens is an old building which is being under construction. That's all I really knew about it until I've come here now, I love it now that I've been here. It's actually a wonderful place, to be fair, and I'd come to see performances here even after the work experience. It's just brilliant.
Why is it wonderful? What makes it really kind of appeal to you?
I don't know, to be honest. It's just great. The performances, seeing like the opera was quite wonderful. Every single time I saw it, I thought it was quite good. Every single time, like it never got boring for me. I was always quite fascinated by seeing it all. I was always fascinated by the lighting. Every time we've done that, I've been fascinated with the sound. Been fascinated by the entire place. Just it's a great building. It's just great performances. Just great thing.
It was really cool seeing that. I really enjoyed the way that the place looked, and the history was quite cool as well. They used to keep like elephants right at the bottom underneath the stage, and I didn't even know they had elephants here. You know, that's just random bits of information. It's just really nice to hear.
I've never been too certain on like anything I want to do when I'm older. I've always been quite optimistic seeing things, but being here in this theatre is absolutely amazing, and I do think it is brilliant, and it is definitely an option for my future now because I love it. I've loved doing it every second. I've said so before. It's probably the best work experience I could have asked for.
Do you think there's still a place for for a venue like the Winter Gardens?
Definitely. I think they could mix quite well as well. I think if you got some digital media and put it in with theatre, I think that could create something absolutely amazing, especially in the near future.
And that's got to be good news. We know the history of the Winter Gardens is long and proud, but we need to make sure there's a new generation keen to keep the building alive and make sure it appeals to a whole new audience. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. In our next, you'll hear personal recollections about the Winter Gardens, and we'll be looking to the future to share what's next for the People's Palace.